The sound of Walker County.
Any adventure, any task, any time. There's a Yamaha utility ATV for any ride and any rider. See the full lineup at S&W Yamaha. Adventure seekers can start with the trail-tested capability and comfort of the Yamaha Grizzly lineup. For the ultimate in mid-size ATV performance, check out the Yamaha Kodiak 450. And for those who mix work and pleasure, the Yamaha Kodiak 700 line devours chores and leaves room for adventure. Find your utility ATV at S&W Yamaha or YamahaMotorsports.com. S&W Yamaha, Highway 78 just east of Jasper. ATVs are recommended for use only by riders aged 16 years and older. ATVs can be hazardous to operate. Yamaha recommends an approved training course. For safety and training information, see your dealer or call 800-887-2887.
WJLX is streaming live and worldwide at WJLX1015.com. You can also take us anywhere you go with the WJLX app for your smartphone, available now in the App Store and on Google Play. Simply search WJLX 101.5 and download it today. Live, local, in the community, and now worldwide. We are Jasper's WJLX 101.5. This is the B&B Show on WJLX 1015, your midweek go-to for local sports, entertainment, and the best of the 90s. The B&B Show with Brian and Baz starts now.
And that is right, live from Jasper. It is Wednesday night, and that means it is time for the B&B Show here on WJLX. I am Brian, and now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, WJLX proudly brings to you the darling of Darlington, the godfather of Good Springs, the quantifier of NASCAR science better than Dr. Stephen Hawking. Here he is,
Baz Sebastian Black, also known as Brian. How you been doing this week?
You know, it has been a very, very busy week. It's been a great week. We crowned our first two players of the week today. By the way, the videos are available on our Facebook page, Cole Sargent and Cam Deaver, both of those. But Bass, my week really is going to start right now, and it goes all the way until late night Friday night, because this is the beginning of week 2 in the Wallwin area for high school football.
Week number 2, and man, what a interesting week we had. Week 1 last week.
Yeah, it was kind of jumbled with
really
our
was.
results.
It really was.
You know, it started with 2 really good games on Thursday nights that unfortunately both of them went not the way that we had hoped, but still 2 very good games. And then we just kind of on Friday, we just had a car wreck of all kinds of different results. And just, it was crazy. Of course, we're going to go over all of this in the 8 o'clock hour because, Bass, we have 2 great guests.
We do.
This week. As a matter of fact, joining us very shortly will be the head coach of the Jasper Vikings softball team, Brandi Hall. She'll be in the studio. And then, 7 o'clock hour, right after On the Track, the Curry athletic director and also girls basketball coach, also defensive coordinator at Curry. Man, he's got more jobs.
He's got a lot.
I tell you what, B.J. Baker will be joining us in the 7 o'clock hour. And, Bass, we've just got, you know, for the first time in a long time, we have more content than we have time. And I love it.
We do. We really do. And it seems like so far this week it's been rolling. And we have a lot of content to talk about and go over this week. And if we have enough time to do it all in one, that's the question, though. But Man, there is so much stuff.
And what do you know? I think she just walked in the door.
She
Why don't
did.
You just come on in here, Coach Brandi Hall.
How you doing?
Doing great.
Great to see you tonight.
Have us a seat.
Yeah.
We're going to get you all prepped up and ready to go. And in the meantime, Bass, we're in 1990 this week.
We are.
And you know what? Your first pick, interestingly enough, considering that it starts next Saturday,
It does.
is what the Bama football team comes out to in the stadium when they're walking and everybody's up on the Titantron.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they come out to. What is it, Bass?
Thunderstruck, AC/DC, and man, I've heard so many people talk about that entrance. When they're coming out of the locker room and Thunderstruck's playing, it's like it's so electrifying. But I didn't realize that until I went to my first Bama game last November, and I was like, man, this really is electrifying in the station or the stadium, because it's like, man,
It sets the tone.
It
As
really
a matter
does.
of fact, Brandi, maybe when the girls get ready for warm-ups, maybe you ought to let them come out on the field to
I
Thunderstruck.
tell you what, there's not much that gets you more fired up than Thunderstruck.
No
That's
joke.
true.
Well, we are going to lead off with Thunderstruck, and then we will be back with our special guest in hour number 1, head coach of the Jasper Vikings, Brandi Hall.
Here on the B&B Show, Brian, you've struck a pretty good guess this week on the first hour.
Well, thank you very much, Bass. I'm very glad to have her. Let's do the formal introduction right now. The head coach of the Jasper Vikings softball program, Brandi Hall, is in the studio with us. Coach, of course, you guys made it back to the regional tournament this past season. Was able to get yourself back in there. And I tell you what, the off season has been really good because not only do you have a great pitcher already in place with Molly Kate Burns, now you also get Missy Odom, a proven commodity, which gives you that two-pitcher system that so many coaches love. So talk about that, and not only how everything went last season to build back to the region, but also how things are looking from this time.
Yeah, we're really excited. We really have had a great off season, and what we did last year, I felt like our kids, man, they played their tails off last year. We were just young on the mound. I felt like we really swung the bat really, really well last year. We were averaging 12, 13, 14 runs a game for a while, and we were just asking a lot of Molly Kate. And you're right, now that we got Missy in there and we got Molly Kate to go with her, we've also got another kid, Ella Key and Lily Banks have transferred in, and we're going to have a four-man pitching staff that we can go to, and it's going to be unbelievable because we've never had that. I mean, it's always just kind of been one girl, and how long can we go with her? And we might could get 3 or 4 innings last year before we turned the lineup over a couple times, and now we're going to be in a great situation where we can run somebody out there that I feel like we could probably going to be able to maybe get some strikeouts throughout the game that we really haven't been able to get. We've been having to really throw outs, get some ground balls, fly balls somewhere along the way, and I feel like we maybe can get some more swings and misses this year that'll help defensively. So we've got a lot of kids coming back. We lost 2 from last year, and we're gonna have 2 seniors this year they're going to be with us, and we're really excited about them. And so we're a young bunch. Believe it or not, we've still got a lot of really young kids, a lot of freshmen and sophomore, really freshman and sophomore heavy coming into this year. But we are super excited about this season coming up. We've been getting after it 4th block in the weight room, and they have been killing it in there. So they've been pushing each other, and I think they understand that. We've got some high hopes for them, and I think we've got some opportunities to do some special things this year.
Well, we've talked about the pitching staff. Let's give you a few moments to brag on not only your defensive staff that will be backing them up, your fielders, but also the bats. Let's give a chance to give you a shout out for them. Who's standing out for you?
Oh yeah, we've got Isabella Brown, our shortstop. She'll be back. We've got Idasia Mercer that'll be in center. We've got Faith Murray. She's about to go into ACL surgery tomorrow, Friday. So we're really praying for her and for a speedy recovery. And she is so ready and excited to be able to get back. She's our starting left fielder. DeKaylee Calvin will be back in right field. We lost a first baseman that we'll have to replace, and we're looking at that. We got Emma Lou Franks, who was just a 7th grader last year that started at third base for us. So we have some big plans for her, either third base, possibly moving her around to second base. We've had to find a catcher, and we're really working hard right now to try to figure out who that's going to be. And we've got 3 or 4 girls that are really working hard to fight for that position. And like I said, we just got a lot of kids coming back, a few spots that we're going to have to fill that were left by great seniors last year. But we're excited about the talent that I see right now that are working hard every day, 4th block, to try to be that person that fills that spot.
Coach, when one of the last features that I did for the Eagle, I didn't have a chance to interview you, but like so many of the softball spring coaches throughout the area, the stoppage of school and of sports in 2020 due to COVID just landed on everybody's head, exception. When you look back at that, talk about that for a little bit. How, number one, you obviously found out, like so many of us, that school was done, sports was done, there was no more, and unlike a football season and a basketball season that previous year, there was no spring at all. So those girls
not only the underclassmen, but the seniors would have no softball season. Talk about that time in there, your talk with the girls, and just go through that with us.
I tell you what, it was really tough, and it was very unique, and nobody really knew how to approach it because it was something that nobody had ever really dealt with. And it was one of those where you could kind of see it trending that way, but you just didn't really know if they would fully cancel high school sports. But the moment I saw where they canceled the NCAA and said we're done with that, I really felt like there's no way they won't cancel ours either. Mm-hmm. But I tell you, it was kind of interesting for us because I believe it was on a Thursday when the news came down, because on Friday we were leaving going to the beach to play. So our kids had been so excited. That was our first time we were going to get to go to the beach and play. And, you know, that group of seniors that we had, they were incredible, and they deserved that trip. They deserved to get to go and play and have a great time. And so anyway, when the news came down Thursday, you know, I had to go in and tell them, you know, we're not going to be able to go to the beach. We're not going to be able to do anything. This is it. And, yeah, I can't say enough about what an incredible group they were and the way they handled it. Mm-hmm. They handled it so maturely. Now, they cried. They were upset because they had worked. Some of them, you know, had been with me the entire year doing nothing but trying to get ready for it. And they handled it like a great group of mature young ladies. You know, and they didn't know. I mean, they had never been through anything like this. So they didn't know emotionally how that was going to sit with them. Mm-hmm. But they did, and we sat down as a group, and I mean, I can remember where we were. I can remember, you know, the time of the day. We all sat down and just said, hey, this is what everybody thinks is best, and it's not us. I mean, we don't, you know, obviously we're going to do what everybody says, but, you know, we hate it for you guys, but this is the situation that we're in, and we're going to make the best of it. And I can't say enough about how they handled it and how they were great leaders and showed the rest of the girls, the younger girls, you know, this is how we're going to handle it. We're going to be okay. It's going to be all right. And went on about their business. But, I can remember coming back because we had a senior, we didn't get to do anything to honor the seniors that year. So we had a dinner that we actually grilled out up at the field one day. So we were all outside and kind of apart. And we sat under tents and just sat and talked about, you know, stories about what had happened with that group, and give each senior an opportunity to talk about what, you know, things that were important to them and memories that they had. And I'm so glad that we got to go back and do that, to at least give a little bit of closure to that senior group that had worked so hard. And some of them had been with me 5 and 6 years, you know, that were in the middle school that had come up. And, you know, so it was good to be able to do something to have some closure for them, because goodness, they didn't deserve for that to, you know, that their senior year to end up happening that way. Of course, nobody did.
Yeah. Well, as we're getting ready to close out our first segment, how much of a smile, how much of a relaxation, and how much energy did you have when 2021 came around and you were back there for the first game? The girls were back in the field. How much more did you appreciate it?
Oh, there's no question about it. Just, you know, sometimes you get frustrated working on the field or cutting the grass, but boy, I cherished every moment that we got to be out there to do that. And I think the girls did too. They're the same way. They spend a lot of their time working on the field, you know, raking, working on the track, whatever the case may be. But, you know, you would never hear them complain for a second. We were all really excited about being together and getting to do that again.
Wonderful. Well, that's Coach Brandi Hall for the first segment. We're going to take a music and commercial break. Bass, Something to Believe In by Poison. Now, this is an iconic song. As a matter of fact, this is 2 trips that we're going to take with Poison this week.
We are. It kind of surprised me, but Something to Believe In by Poison. Number 2 on the rock charts in 1990, and number 1, Brian, on the pop chart in 1990. It debuted surprisingly towards the end of 1990, November of 90. So, Brian, here is Something to Believe In, Poison, the first trip for Poison out of 2 right here on the B&B Show.
Stop by and browse our selection today. Bernard's Store for Men, on the square in historic downtown Jasper since 1949.
Something to believe in. Poison first round trip here for Poison on the B&B Show. And thanks to our fine sponsor, Bernard's Store for Men.
Hi, Rusty.
Downtown Jasper. Brian, back to conversation with Miss Brandi Hall from Jasper. What else you got over there for?
I didn't know if you were aware of this. You know, me and Ryan have the same barber, don't you?
Y'all got that low maintenance haircut.
Yeah, I've always said this. If I had $10,000 to blow, I would honestly go down to South Beach. Of course, my wife would beat me like a rented circus monkey. But I would go down to South Beach and say, look, from here up, just remove everything except for the eyebrows. Face, everything. Just remove it all. And I imagine if Ryan had $10,000 to blow and he knows you wouldn't kill him for it, he would probably say, yeah, just take it all off.
Just take it off. It's just easier that way, right?
It is. I mean, it really, really is. So here's a question for you. Now, you're a football mom also.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Has there come one of the moments on the field where there's been a hit and you've gone,
Not really, not yet. Now my son, he's just a 7th grader, so I'm sure that's probably good. I'm going to be a little bit more antsy about watching him take a hit. I mean, he's not a real big guy, so he's still learning to go in there and try to lay the lick instead of taking it. Mm-hmm. But I hadn't really got to that point yet. I'm sure that's coming. But as a mom, I haven't been real nervous about watching him play yet. Mm-hmm. But he really hadn't taken any hits that's just made me a little bit nervous.
Mm. Yeah, now, I know because I ran into you guys at Dodge City sometime during the spring. You guys were after baseball.
Right.
Back then. So you've got baseball, you've got football season. You're way behind. You're right behind Ryan there during their football season. Then you have softball. When do you guys have free time, and what do you do during that free time?
Well, I tell you what, until football in the summer really started, when Ryan when he became the head coach at Oakman, we went to the lake. We spent so many days at the lake just hanging out. We've got a pontoon that we absolutely love to go get on. And, the first summer we seemed like we were out there quite a bit. And then the next summer it was a little less. And then the next summer, maybe 4 or 5 times. And this summer, honestly, we've been one time. We just don't.
Wow.
And we love it. Like, that's our absolute favorite thing to do. When you get out on that boat, it's like you're in a different world and you don't have any cares in the world. But I tell you what, this summer, especially having Hampton play, there was zero time to do anything. And then on the weekends, he played baseball, it seemed like every single weekend. So we were driving here or there to go watch him play, and football through the week, and baseball camp. We were fortunate enough to go down to Baton Rouge to LSU to baseball camp, and it was nonstop all over the place. I don't think we've ever had a busier summer than we had this past summer.
I would imagine so. Now, another question for you. You're talking about Hampton on the baseball field. What position does he play?
He's a shortstop. He thinks he's a pitcher. He likes to pitch a little bit too, but he plays up the middle. I mean, he'll probably move around to second base, I would imagine, when a little bit older he gets. But I tell you what, there's not many people that love it more than he does.
Wow.
I'm telling you, he is eat up with it.
Well, now, even though it's on the softball end, obviously it goes hand in hand. You know how integral that second base and that shortstop, because they have so much territory that they have to cover. So development-wise, I imagine you're looking at that saying, wow, you could do just about anything. You realize that.
Yeah, we try to tell him that. And, Ryan really spends a lot of time with him, really, I mean, more than you can even imagine, working on drills and just trying to make sure he's sound in the way he does things. And like I said, he's a little bit smaller right now. He's ready to hit that growth and be able to jump up there and hopefully even out with some of these other guys that's already there. But when it comes to some technique, he's okay. He works really hard at it.
Now, what's he doing in football? What position is he doing there?
He is a corner and a quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah, so
wow.
He got, like I said, he played Monday night for the first time, and he completed a couple passes, and he likes to set the edge on the outside, so he tries to turn them in, and I'm ready to see him go up and really hit somebody.
Did you have a chance to go up when they had the exhibit at the Bankhead House with the Women of Sports of Walker County?
I did, and boy, was that something special.
Was it not?
That was incredible. Just, I mean, they didn't have to do that, but they did to showcase all the female athletes and talent around our county, and it's rich with talent around
Yeah.
here.
Oh yeah, it certainly is, especially in your area, softball. I've also always said this. I think softball, we could put a sign when you're entering Walker County, softball lives here.
It does,
So-
and it's not just one team. I mean, it's several. You don't have to go very far to schedule somebody that can whip your tail day in and day out around here.
And be at the state tournament.
That's right. That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
So now, one of the things though, I look up on the wall, and the first time that I saw you and Mandy sitting by each other, I had to do a double take. Now I had to do a triple take because there's you and Mandy in your Walker uniforms up on the wall, but you guys have long, big hair, and I'm like, wait a minute, that can't be Brandi and Mandy. That's long,
Sure
flowing
did.
hair.
We had some long blonde hair back then. We sure
Wow.
did. But I tell you what, when we went off to college, we got that cut off. That was
Man.
the end of that.
That was some 1990s hair.
That's right.
there.
That's exactly right. That was old school.
Man, oh man. Well, we are going to take our second musical break and be back with some more fun with Coach Hall. But Bass, we've been calling Aerosmith a whole lot the past couple of
We
weeks, and
have.
rightfully so.
We really have.
Aerosmith is iconic through the 80s and through the 90s. This is one of your picks, so tell us a little bit about this.
What It Takes, Aerosmith, number 1 on the rock chart, 1990, number 4 on the pop chart, debuted February of 1990. Aerosmith, to this day, still a classic band, still one of the biggest bands that has played on the radio, your more classic rock radio stations. So What It Takes on the B&B Show, another Aerosmith hit right here on WJLX. What it takes. Aerosmith on the B&B Show. Back with Coach Hall from Jasper High School, head softball coach she is. Brian, what other fun stuff you got cooking your head over there?
Okay, so let's throw a couple of funny questions out for Coach Hall. Now, first and foremost, do you have a team goofball? Do you have a prankster or somebody that's always making everybody laugh?
Probably our goofball really graduated last year.
Mm-hmm.
She was pretty much the nut on our team that just, you could be right in the middle of really giving a hard, great speech about doing this or that, and she'd always come back with something else. So I haven't really learned yet who that might be this year, but I'm sure somebody will take up that role because they always do.
Well, is there anybody do you think could develop into that, showing some signs that you're going to have a team goofball?
Yeah, I mean, DeKaylee Calvin is probably the one I would say.
Uh-oh.
Now she was an 8th grader last year, so she's just going to be a freshman this year, and she started in right field for us, so she's had to play a big role for us, but she's one like that. You never know what's going to come out of her mouth, and she is a lot of fun to have on a team. I'll tell you that.
So you're going to have 4 years of development of this goofball. There's no telling what she's going to be like as a senior.
No telling.
You all might have to have some surgery to remove stitches from laughing so hard.
Yes, and you know what? And all the kids love it. They know what they're going to get from her. She's going to come in there and be goofy and crazy, and it's going to be every day. She's not a real, today I'm going to come in and be down, and she's going to be crazy the second she walks in that dugout, and she is who she is. That's what I love about her.
Yeah, well, that's always a good thing. Big mentors for you in your life. Who's been some key people that have made you into the coach that you've made?
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, first of all, I pretty much played for my dad my whole life growing up, and he was so hard on us. I mean, he didn't let up for a second, but I think that's because he knew our goal. We wanted to play in college. I mean, college softball was what we wanted, and so he pounded us every day. There was no getting out of practice, and he really taught us at a very high level. And then, of course, got to high school, and Sheila Kilgore, she played a big impact on me there, and we had a very successful high school career and very fortunate to win a couple state championships there with her, and learned a lot of things from her as far as how to handle kids and how to develop kids away from the field, not necessarily on the field. And then, of course, when I got to college, Les Studeman and Van Studeman, they both had a major impact on me as far as the softball aspect goes. I mean, I would say everything I learned about the game or that I know about the game, it would have certainly come from her. And I know she's probably forgot a whole lot more than I even know today. But and even today, we have a great relationship. I've talked to her the last couple nights in a row, and we're really good friends now, and just anything that I see that I may not be 100% about what I need to do to handle this, or how would you cover this, she's my go-to. I would call her and ask, what would you do in this situation? So she's definitely, as far as the softball aspect, she would be my biggest mentor, just because everything in this game I learned from her.
The player aspect, you just mentioned, the development, not just on the field, but off of them, also the mental aspect. When you take a look at this, these girls are basically become an extension of your family. I talked to Coach Bailey about this because I think it's this way with all coaches. If you want to be successful, you have to celebrate their wins on the field and off the field just as much as you have to mentor them through the challenges that they have on and off the field. And it's obvious to me this became big to you through those mentors. The family aspect, and I know that's huge for you and Ryan.
Very, very important. We try to have the kids over to our house as much as we can so they can see us off the field. That it's not softball all the time. And, our biggest goal as coaches, and Coach Weiss, Coach Reel, Coach Bowen, our number one goal is to get these kids to heaven. I mean, that's honestly number one, and we spend a lot of time trying to focus on that, and what can we do in their lives. We want to be great examples for them to see how we live our lives each day. And I always say, if softball is all you're doing, you're missing the big picture, because there is so much more to be done than just softball. And that's one thing I enjoy about being in the fall with our kids. And in the past we might have had 5, 6, 7 kids in our 4th block class. This year we've got 23. So there are so many more kids, and it's great to be able to develop those relationships, even though we are in the weight room, or we might be doing this, some drill or something at the field. For them to be able to see me, not necessarily just pounding on them all the time about getting this, doing this, all the time. I want them to see me as who I am, and that I'm number one, a Christian, but I'm a wife, to Ryan, and I'm a mother to Hampton, and I want all those things to be on display for them, because one day they're going to be young, mothers, they're going to be wives, and for us as coaches, that's our number one, is to get these, to be able to get these ladies to heaven. I mean, we feel like we're in charge. We're charged to be able to be in front of these kids, and very thankful to be able to stand in front of them. So our goal is number one, to be able to do that each and every day. And softball if we're doing that, softball will be fine.
Last question for you. Ryan, I actually asked this at Media Days. He's been able to go through a cycle, seeing a freshman go all the way up to a senior. You've also had a chance. How rewarding is that, to watch a young lady in your program that you've seen come in as a freshman, and you're having a chance to see her graduate? How rewarding is that?
Yeah, it's special. I mean, there's really no words to be able to just see them go from when they first walk in the door to them walking out the door, and the relationship that you have. It's not there in the beginning, but you nourish it, and every day you build on it. And by the time they leave, I mean, it really hurts your heart to see them walk out the door. I mean, I had 3 seniors last year that walked out the door that really, and they had been with me all the way through, and to see them leave, I mean, it's sad, and it does hurt, because you've been through so many challenges, great times and really tough times, and to see how they've handled each one of those, it's tough to see them walk out that door for the last time. But hopefully we can say, they're prepared and they're ready to go out into the world, and maybe just maybe we might have some little piece of something that we've shared with them along the way that might help them throughout their collegiate careers and out throughout their lives.
Well, okay, we're going to ask her in parting the funniest thing that's happened to you during a game. What's one moment that you're still looking back to this day and it cracks you up?
Well, I tell you what, I actually have 2.
Okay, well, hit it with both of them.
And neither one of these happened at Jasper, actually. But I was coaching at Madison Academy, and we had this pitcher, and she could sling it, and she was a monster. So I go out there, and I'm calling a certain pitch, because I was calling pitches at that time, and I'm calling it, and she's throwing something different. So I call another one. So finally, I've had enough. So I go out to the mound, and I am wearing her out. I'm talking. I'm looking up at her, and I'm saying everything I could possibly say to this kid. And she stops right in the middle, and she says, "Man, you sure are little." And I looked at her, and I just turned around and walked off. I'm like, I don't even know what else to do. She didn't heard a word I said. Just went on about her business. But anyway, one more time, I was at Carbon Hill, and I coached volleyball the year before, because I had just left the board. I was doing a different job there. So I went over to coach the middle school. Now, this was my first time to coach middle school. So I was, and Carbon Hill had not won a game in, I don't know, maybe 2 years. So I knew what I was getting into. So anyway, we fight, and we just get after it, and we can't win. We're getting run ruled. I mean, they're just getting hammered, and they're playing, getting better. Well, we're in a game in the 3rd inning, and we're down 5. Okay, we're down 5. So we come in, we hit, the inning's over. My kids line up to go shake hands, and I turn around and what are y'all doing? They're like, "Coach, game's over." I said, "No, it's not." And they're like, "Coach, 3 innings is up. That's it. The game's over." Y'all, they hadn't played. I'm like, the game is not over. We're with. they thought the game ended in 3 innings because they've been run rules.
Oh, my
Every
goodness.
time about 15 runs. So, number one, I was mad. Number two, I was embarrassed because our kids didn't even know we played 7 innings. And they just played 3 their whole career. So anyway, I don't know that you could get much worse than that. But hey, we managed to win 2 games before that year was over, so I was really proud of those kids. It ended up being great. But I've had so many over the years, I probably couldn't. But those 2 just stand out is just craziness.
Wow.
Bass, we might have to have a Coach Hall on for part 2 of that,
Oh,
because
yeah,
I'm going to
for
have to
sure.
hear some more of those.
For
Coach,
sure.
this has been an amazing segment. We've absolutely loved having you on. Best of luck this season. Hopefully, we're going to get a chance. I think it's back at Chocoloco this year.
It is.
I think.
It
Hopefully, we're going to see you guys in Chocoloco.
We hope to be there. And before I leave, I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you guys having me on, and what you guys do for our kids around here is special. Not many places have a place like this that really promotes them the way you guys do, and I really appreciate you guys having me on and the way you guys handle yourselves and go about your business with that.
Well, we appreciate it, Coach,
Anytime.
and thank you for joining us. Bass, Motley Crue, the crew.
The stadium tour is still going on, by the
Oh,
way.
my goodness.
I
You
just
probably know some crew there, Coach, don't
Motley
you?
Crue,
Yeah, she knows some crew.
Oh, yeah.
some hardcore.
Yeah. Without you, tell us a little bit about it before we go to the commercial.
Without You is still a top hit to this day for Motley Crue. I wish I would already had this pulled up. It is still played on rock stations to this day. Will always be a great hit, and it debuted March of 1990. Was number 7 on both the rock and the pop chart, and I don't actually believe we've played Motley Crue yet.
I don't think we have,
I don't-
because a lot of their stuff was back in the 80s.
80s,
so,
yeah. But a big 80s band. Here is Motley Crue, Without You, on the B&B Show. Brian, I hear we have an announcement to make.
We do have a big announcement. Of course, tomorrow night we'll officially start our Coach's Corner and the Coach Bailey Show at the Pie Factory. Our first guest on the Coach's Corner tomorrow night will be me, Coach Houston Powell, and some of his players. So that's going to be big.
That is going to be big, so make sure you tune in tomorrow beginning at 6 o'clock with Coach's Corner, Meek, and some of his players. And then at 6:30 we have the Philip Bailey Show live from the Pie Factory. And then I'm pretty sure we may be simulcasting the county game of the week tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. It will.
Oakman hosting Cordova.
Yep. And looking forward to that big matchup. Bass, I think for these we need the sound of a car peeling off. To start off on the track.
Maybe Boss Man can look into that.
Maybe he can. But
Maybe
Bass, what's been going on in the world of NASCAR?
Well, Brian, there hasn't been much. We're really gearing up for playoffs to start here. We talked pretty much a month ago, the Truck Series has started their playoffs pretty much last month. The Xfinity Series was in action over the weekend. Watkins Glen International in New York. What was an interesting race there, an interesting battle towards the end. Two leaders got tangled up and got into a wreck with each other. And how about third place Kyle Larson sneaking in and taking the win there on Saturday? And the action didn't stop on Sunday either.
Mm-hmm.
Cup Series was in action on the road course as well at Watkins Glen. But I'll tell you one thing, Mother Nature likes to play a lot.
Mother Nature has been doing a lot of playing, especially around here the past week.
Let's just say the race started out in the rain. Rain tires, they do have those. They do race in the rain on road courses there. And so, interesting note, they don't race on the ovals in the wet, but they do on road courses, and they started out in the rain. To say the least, it was an interesting battle there for a little while, watching them drive around in the rain. But it finally dries off, sun comes out, track gets dry. And how about a repeat? How about we have Kyle Larson sweeping the weekend there?
Goodness.
In Watkins Glen.
Look out.
Brian, the action doesn't stop. This week, we head to Florida. Daytona Beach.
Oh, boy.
Daytona International Speedway. It is the final race before the playoffs for the Cup Series.
90 miles from my hometown.
Yeah, didn't you say you used to go to Daytona or something like that?
I was forced to go to Daytona. Yeah. Anyhow.
To say the least, Xfinity and Cup Series are in action. Friday night, Xfinity Series is on the high banks of Daytona International Speedway, and Cup Series action on Saturday night. Early favorite has Chase Elliott, Bill Elliott's son, winning the race Saturday night. And Brian, some other news that broke out, and it was broke out last week, but they finally just released an article on it yesterday, I believe. NASCAR has teamed up with the Alabama Crimson Tide Athletics.
Whoa.
For a big one-year sponsor deal.
Oh, well.
Talk about huge.
Yeah.
What's interesting is NASCAR gets a digital board ad placement and NASCAR Drive Summary video board features at all of the Bama home games this season.
Holy snikes.
At Bryant-Denny Stadium, and they get similar inventory at basketball games.
Wow.
The goal here is it will use first-party data to drive ticket sales for Talladega in October.
I would imagine so. I mean, you've got the super speedway right here. Mm-hmm. The granddaddy super speedway.
Yep. So, Brian, that's really about it this week. There's not a whole lot that's going on, just getting ready for the playoffs. The only interesting thing is we're heading to a restrictor plate track and the unknowns there are insane.
Hmm.
To say the least, we've had 15 different winners this year. 16 make the playoffs.
Wow.
There is 2 drivers fighting for that spot off of points.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting note is what happens if we get a new winner
Oh, my
on
goodness.
Saturday night. How that really shapes up the playoffs.
Well, that could certainly be like one of those wrecks, that everybody's in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But to say the least, that's going to round up on the track this week. And I'm definitely going to say next week's On the Track segment will definitely be a lot more interesting.
All righty. Well, we'll look forward to that. Good job as always.
Appreciate it.
Basso.
Appreciate you giving me the opportunity there.
Those who are watching on the live stream on the cameras, no, this is not an optical illusion. Our next guest has already joined us. He is the athletic director of Curry High School Athletics, B.J. Baker. He's also defensive coordinator for the Yellow Jackets football team. He's also the head basketball coach. Man, you've got more hats than I do.
I have quite a few.
He is a multitasking man, and he is going to be joining us for our next segment. He's also got the same barber that I do, so we just let's just take it all off, right?
Might as well.
Easier to keep, huh?
Yes, sir.
He's going to be joining us in the next segment, but Bass, Skid Row, another one of those humongous bands. I Remember You. Give us the lowdown on that.
I Remember You debuted January of 1990, was number 11 on the rock chart at the end of 90, and number 5, Brian, on the pop chart. And I Remember You is definitely a big hit for Skid Row. It comes in, actually, which Skid Row had a lot of big hits back in the day, but 5th on the band's popular tune timeline. Skid Row's made a debut here a couple of times here on the B&B Show, and they're back again with I Remember You, Skid Row on the B&B Show. Here on the B&B Show, Brian, we are joined by another one of your guests you picked out, and it's another good one.
Well, I appreciate that, Bass. B.J. Baker, the man of many, many, many hats at Curry. I hope I get all these down pat, B.J., because first off, you're the Curry Athletic Director. You are also the girls' head basketball coach, and, of course, this time of the year, you're also the DC, defensive coordinator.
Yes,
for
sir.
the Curry Yellow Jackets football team. Man, did you ever juggle at any point in your life? Because that's what it seems like you're almost doing there.
I never can juggle. It's almost like you're the master of none of them. You tried a lot of them, but you're a master of none of them. But no, I try to do what's best for the kids and try to help the kids out because we're in this for the kids and stuff. And so it's important for me to see the kids try to succeed in everything we do. So.
Let's take a look at your girls basketball team. I got a chance to catch quite a few of the games on the NFHS network last year, and you made some good strides in it. I think the girls, from what I saw of it as the season went on, they certainly made some good progress. Talk a little bit about your girls and what you're looking at this season.
We lost 3 seniors last year. We had Elena Key, Emily Brown, and Liz Barnett. I lost to graduation and stuff. And from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, we improved tremendously. Coach Elliott left us a great group to coach and stuff, and me and Coach Dave Lawson. Dave helps me. Dave's the mastermind behind a lot of this stuff. But we started a lot of young kids and stuff, and we were a young team. And we were in a hard region last year with Good Hope. Good Hope made the Elite 8, got beat by Deshler, who won the state championship. But we made a lot of strides. I got one senior, going to have being one senior on this year's team, Kieran Pruitt. I got 4 juniors returning, including my 3rd leading scorer, who I lost right before Christmas, in Jenna Madison. Jenna tore ACL last year. She come off a game against Carbon Hill on Tuesday night. I think had 21 points against Carbon Hill. Thursday on practice before we go play Aniana on Friday, she falls and buckles her knee and tears her ACL. She tries to go and play Aniana on that Friday. In warm-ups, I see she can't go, so we pull her. Have a big win against Aniana. Got her coming back. Lana Wright is another one that played a lot for me last year. She's coming back. I got Sarah Beth Albel is another junior. Alyssa Dover is another junior. I got 2 sophomores, Ambry Taylor. You know what Ambry does on the sophomore field?
Oh yeah.
Ambry got a lot more confident last year in basketball. She got where she was shooting the ball real well. I got Kennedy Richardson. Kennedy is going to be another good softball player. She come out this summer when we had tryouts and stuff. I actually had tryouts right before school got out. She actually surprised me a lot. She's got a lot of ability for a post player type deal. And then I'm going to have 3 freshmen. J.C. Callaway, Jaylee Callaway, J.C. Page, and Ava Kate Woodley. And they played a lot last year on the 8th grade team. And I don't think they're going to realize the big roles they're going to have to play this year.
Wow. So, going to be something to watch, and not only watch this year with that many underclassmen that you have, something to watch for the years to come.
I think we're going to build a little foundation and stuff. It's a lot about learning fundamentals and stuff, and that's what me and Dave preach a lot about. Is a lot of fundamentals and stuff. Coaching girls is different than coaching boys. Boys are going to be in the gym all the time shooting basketball. Girls, we spend a lot of our practice just shooting, shooting and working on fundamentals because girls just won't go shoot in the gym and stuff. And so we spend a lot of our time shooting and working on fundamentals and stuff. But we're going to a new area. We're going to be in an area with Cordova. Coach Straisner does a great job.
Oh yeah.
And then High Level had 10 kids in our varsity last year. They're only returning 2. They had some transfers and they had a lot of seniors. In Hamilton, Hamilton lost Coach Hollingsworth. He comes to Jasper. His daughter comes to Jasper. So they're going to be a different type of team next year.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, of course, this time of the year, you are coaching defense
Yes.
for the Curry Yellow Jackets football team, and I know you've seen a transformation from when Coach Emerson got there last year to this year. From your own perspective as a coach, talk about that transformation and how you've seen the guys just working and giving effort to develop.
And just going back from when Coach Emerson come beginning of last year to right now, we had a lot of individuals who was playing football last year. This year's team seems more like a brotherhood, that they're playing for each other. The wins and loss other night wasn't what we wanted, but we saw a great deal of improvement from where we were last year to this year, and we're hoping that improvement keeps on week to week.
And of course, we've heard it so much from coaches. Your biggest improvement is from game 1 to 2. You've got a chance to shore all that up this week, so I know you guys are going to be looking forward to a chance to shore all that up.
Oh yes, we're playing Berry Wildcats at home this week. Berry didn't play in the spring; they hadn't played last week, so we're going a lot off what they done last year. They had quite a few seniors last year. They got 4 skill players coming back. That's pretty good. They had a kid graduated a few years ago, Tank Hollingsworth.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Tank's brother is a freshman on this team. Real good running back. So we got to find a way to put him in the fence and him up.
And Chance, we did a little featurette not too long ago. Now you guys get to officially unveil that gorgeous new guest section.
Oh yes, the guest section of bleachers have been approved by the state. We've got the lights working now. It's we had a little bit of issue with the scoreboard this past week. We got fixed yesterday. It's a lot better looking stadium compared to what it's been in the past.
Yeah, when I was out there the other day to do the featurette with you and Coach Emerson, that looks a totally different new stadium.
It does. And I mean, we want to take it much further. We're hopefully not done with upgrading stadiums and stuff. We want to make the outside facade look a lot better. We want to make sure that, Coach Emerson, I think, put in the paper where hopefully one day we can get a jumbotron. I told him, I said, hold your horses right now. It's going to come. But, we're here to make the environment stuff a lot better and the safety and stuff a lot better.
Of course, you as athletic director, you more or less oversee all the sports, and obviously a very big thing was back in the spring. Baseball team went to the playoffs big. Softball team makes it and wins a state championship. It kind of sets the tone, though, but it also adds a little bit of pressure for the other teams. So, as an athletic director, when you see that kind of stuff, does it kind of motivate you? Hey, let's do this across the board.
Oh yeah, I mean you try to get everybody on board because we want every team to be successful. We want every team to make the playoffs and stuff. And the work ethic that we've seen, not only the girls but the boys, it's light and day from where it's been in the past. And that's in every sport, not just baseball and softball. Football's been that way. Volleyball's been that way. And look at, we work out Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays during the summertime. It's nothing for us to have 75 girls at a 6:30 workout. And this is the first summer I can remember the boys coming in and having 70, 75 at workouts. They come in at 7:30. And we're not just working out just the athletes. The cheerleaders come work out with us.
Nice.
So we're all about doing what's right for all of our athletes.
Nice. Talking to Coach B.J. Baker, who is a man of many, many hats for the Curry Yellow Jackets, athletic director, head girls basketball coach, and, of course, defensive coordinator. We're going to be back for our second segment after our music and commercial break. But Bass, we're finally transitioning to some of mine. And Billy Joel. Now, you'd have to be almost out of this world to not heard of Billy Joel.
yeah,
but,
for sure.
He had a great one in 1990, and some of this had to do with some of the changes that were going on in the world, things like the breakup of the Soviet Union, the fall of the Great Wall over in, the Berlin Wall over dividing East Germany and West Germany. So a lot of that it's a song about change.
Yep.
And it's a good one. So hope everybody enjoys We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel.
Back here on the B&B Show with Brian, me, and Coach B.J. Baker, athletic director, head girls basketball coach, and the defensive coordinator for the Yellow Jackets. And Brian, what question-wise you got else for them?
No. We spoke off the air that you'd play for Coach Hogan up at Winston County. What position did you play?
I played left tackle on offense.
Left tackle.
Played one game of defense, or 1.5 games of defense. Tore my lateral meniscus.
Oh my goodness!
Against Winfield, and so that ended my defensive career per se.
Oh my goodness!
But the one full game I played against David Stewart. Was a tackle at Lawrence County. Went on to play Mississippi State. Played for Tennessee Titans.
Wow!
So played against a good one.
Yeah, you did. Certainly did. So I know we had talked off the air. You're not a big movie watcher, so what do you do in your spare time? Well, you wear so many hats for Curry.
What spare time?
Yeah. Your dad also, so I know that takes up humongous amounts of spare time.
Ain't a dad. Don't have no kids.
Oh, okay. My bad.
No kids.
My bad.
No, a lot of times when I'm not involved in like a football or girls basketball and stuff, I try to make sure I'm at the athletic events that we're hosting and stuff. Try to make as many athletic events as I can. When I get time, I like playing a little golf.
Okay.
Trying to cook a little bit and spend. I got 2 nieces and 2 nephews, so I try to spend a lot of time with them and stuff.
So a cook. Now this is interesting. We have not had a cook in here, so it's time to grill. Coach Baker, what do you? What's your main repertoire for cooking? What do you specialize in?
I like cooking some steaks.
Steaks.
Oh yeah, that's what I was telling somebody today. They said they like their steaks well done. I was like, the cow's already died twice, or already died. Don't need to kill it again. I like a medium rare steak, and so I love cooking on the grill. Get you out of nature and stuff, and there's nothing like the smell of the grill to me.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Now you talk, especially during football season.
Oh yeah.
Grill during football season
fresh
is.
Cut grass.
Oh yeah.
It just brings the fall right back to you.
Now, have you tried M&M Meat Company? They're a sponsor of ours.
I've not yet, but I need to get by and see them.
They have good stuff, and you know where they get a lot of their Hereford beef here in Oakland. Oh. So it's local. So you need to try that. So outside of steaks, what do you dabble in?
I cook a little chicken every once in a while, but a lot of steaks, brats. Love cooking brats. Mm-hmm. But pretty much stick with the beef.
Okay, sticking with the beef. I like it. That's always a really good decision. By the way, Coach, if you're ever grilling out on Wednesday night, and you want to drop anything by, please remember us here at the station.
There you go.
So another thing is you've got to have a coach on the staff with you that's the big crack up. So who gets you lit and laughing when y'all need it the most?
That would be Coach Brandon Thomas. He's our
really
special teams coordinator and our head baseball coach. One of our better hires we've made. Coach Thomas, he's always keeping the mood light and stuff. We found he's always finding a way in a dark situation to make the kids laugh and stuff like that. And we roll a lot in the coach's office, I'll tell you that.
So, Bass, I'm going to have to write this down and get the number for Coach Thomas because we're definitely going to have him on the B&B Show.
There you go.
Give us, if you would, please, and of course, within the confines of keeping this G-rated, what's a funny moment that's really stuck out that he's done?
We'll sit there, all the coaches on a group text, and he found some shorts. I guess some old track shorts that I had that I put in the field house the other day. And he found them, and I guess his wife, Mary Beth, took the picture of him. He had the old track shorts, about the 2-inch inseams on, and had an old cut-off shirt, and he's trying to model that. And the comments on the coaches, it was priceless, to say the least.
How long did it take y'all to recover?
Probably at least a good 10, 15 minutes.
Now, please tell me nobody got a picture of this, right?
Oh, it's on the coach's text.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
We have blackmail.
Oh,
Wow.
my goodness. This is too much.
Wow.
Okay, well, now changing gears, how about on your girls' team? Is there a crack up, one of the girls that deserves a good heads up for being a prankster or a funny one?
Well, if it was last year, it would have probably been Elena Key.
Oh, yeah.
Elena was always cutting up, joking. This year's team, I can probably see it being Ava Kate Woodley, freshman. She's always cutting, joking up. One of the teachers was trying to get a hold of a student the other day, and it was in my class, the varsity athletics class, and she just needed to tell her a quick thing, so I said, here's my phone. So a couple days later, I got my phone back. Ava Kate and one of her friends that took about 5, 6, 7 selfies. I'm like, good night. So they're always trying to cut up with me and stuff. So
Well, at least they didn't make any callbacks to spammers, you know.
True.
Now, is this Woodley? Is this Coach Woodley's?
Coach Woodley's middle daughter.
Okay, now you know what they say about police officers, that the kids are always the worst, or pastors. So I can imagine being the principal's daughter. She's destined to be a big crack up.
She's going to be, and I can tell because her sister. I coached her sister too, Anna Reese. Anna Reese was the crack up when we had her. And I can see her following right in her sister's footsteps.
Oh, goodness. We're going to have another one on there.
Yep.
We might have to, during the Walker County tournament, get that one on the air. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds real good. That'd be
Both of them would like doing YouTube videos and stuff.
Really?
Anna Reese had her own little YouTube thing when she was younger and stuff that I always made fun of her about. So.
You got some YouTube stars.
Oh yeah, I have Ava Kate. I think does the same thing. So,
wow.
So, quick question, Coach. Obviously, football season is full in the air, but SEC. Well, technically, it's supposed to start this week, but Vandy's playing Hawaii, and that's the only
We
SEC.
don't count that. We don't count
Yeah,
that. That's
I know.
Vandy that's playing.
Unless you're at Vandy and you get to go out to Hawaii.
Well, that's true.
You know,
but-
but SEC starting up. Are you a big fan?
you could probably say that.
You could probably say that. So let's get your takes SEC wise this year. Does Bama win it all, or do they have a loss somewhere?
I cannot see a loss. I think defensively, it's going to be one of the better defensive teams that they've had. Offensively, you got the returning Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young. Everybody keeps talking about the Gibbs kid that comes from Georgia Tech, how much he's impressed at practice. Now, I think when October rolls around and the Aggies come rolling in, as much as happened this summer with Nick and with Jimbo, I think that's going to be a little bit of a statement game for Alabama. I think Georgia's going to be pretty good. I think Georgia's having some health issues right now in their backfield and stuff and their receivers. So they're getting a little bit of what Alabama had last year. But it worries me a little bit that third Saturday in October.
Oh, Lord. Those things. Not the super bad things, but they're still things.
I think their motto is always, we'll wait till next year. But that they're getting a lot better. And for Tennessee standards, when they start recruiting nationally, I think they're going to be back. Well, they're pretty good. And truthfully, the SEC needs them to be pretty good for the SEC to be a full team, a full conference and stuff.
But
So-
let me ask you this. Could the NCAA possibly coming down on them hurt any of that?
It could. But I don't know how hard they will come down on them. With the new NIL stuff now that's being taken place. And of course, I'm one of these. I don't think Jeremy Pruitt was given a full. What am I looking for? A full, clear bill. I don't think he's as guilty as everybody's putting him out to be. Of course, it wouldn't surprise me if it didn't happen a lot of places. But it's going to hurt Tennessee some in recruiting, but I don't think it's going to hurt them near as much.
Well, we'll certainly take a look. We're going to hit our next commercial break, and we're going to ask a few more SEC questions to Coach Baker. Bass, we were talking off the air about the few Westerns that we're really interested in. One of my favorite ever Westerns, Young Guns 2, Bon Jovi had the lead song for that movie, Blaze of Glory, and it was a mega hit. Back in 1990. All of you who remember this song, sit back, relax, and enjoy. All of you who haven't heard it before, take note. John Bon Jovi in one of his best ever.
the B&B Show. John Bon Jovi back with B.J. Baker, the athletic director at Curry, the head girls basketball coach, and the defensive coordinator. Just a man of all trades over there at Curry.
BJ, you're kind of like the David Palmer of Curry, aren't you? You just play any position, huh?
David's a heck of a lot better than I was.
So we were talking about the SEC. Georgia, I know you mentioned them as potentially the East front runner. Kentucky seems to be making a lot of noise. Do you think that they could potentially maybe upset Georgia?
I think there's a possibility. And I'm going to throw a dark horse out at you. South Carolina.
South Carolina.
I kind of like South Carolina. I actually went to the 2010 Alabama-South Carolina game.
Oh, that one was the hard one.
It was, needless to say, one of the first times I've ever left a game early. We left in the third quarter. I don't think Stephen Garcia could have done anything wrong that day.
No.
But I think Kentucky has got a real good chance of being pretty good and upsetting. But, I think with the quarterback, that South Carolina guy from Oklahoma, in the scheme that I think he's trying to run, I think they're going to open some eyes in the SEC East.
So a definite team to watch. BJ, I'm interested to see your take on this. There's one team out there that nobody has really mentioned, and we know that they're in a state that's just wealthy with talent. And there's one thing that you can say what you want to about Ed Orgeron. He could recruit, but nobody's really talking about LSU at all. And it's kind of weird to me because you have all that talent, okay, and, you got a worthwhile coach over there. I'm not saying a 10-win season or anything, but could they surprise some folks?
I think they could. I can see them probably winning 8 games this year. I think there's probably going to be a little transition when Brian Kelly coming in and stuff. Basically going more of a pro-style type deal because I don't see him airing it out a lot more. More of a controlled type situation. But LSU and Louisiana have athletes per capita is the top with anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if he can start getting some in-state recruits and stuff, but I kind of like seeing Saban walk in and getting those top recruits.
Who doesn't? Well, there's a lot of fans out there who doesn't. But last question: we've seen a lot of prognostications come out this preseason about Auburn potentially going 4-8. Now, I know that they might have a year that is not noteworthy, but 4-8? Do you see that, BJ?
No, I think at worst, I think they're 6-6. I'm leaning more of a 7-5 type season. Now that Auburn fans want 10-2,
yeah,
12-0. But I think they're more in a rebuilding year. And I think Coach Harsin, I think he does a great job. I think if he's given the time to set and build, I think he's going to build a good product. But it worries me that he's going to be given the time, especially after what happened this past off season.
Yeah, good that happened in January and February and not August.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine what kind of a train wreck that would have been?
Because, when you get in that point, the people in the locker room have got to stick together. You hear a lot of outside noise all the time. But as long as those people in the locker room are all together, you can face a lot. So it's a good thing for them it did happen in February, in March. So
absolutely. BJ, been great to have you on. Really been enjoyable and insightful. I know you got to get back to your several duties. BJ, I swear, we almost need to call him the juggler because he has got so many jobs he's got to juggle there. But at Curry, you do a fabulous job with it. And I know you guys are getting ready to take a happy look at how the crowds look at that new guest section and the new look stadium.
Yes, sir. We're excited for everybody to get there. First home game. We've only got 4 home games this year in football. So first home game, ready to get it going. And, we're ready to get the new indoor facility. We're ready to get it up and going, hopefully being up by this coming summer. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody out at 7 o'clock on Friday night.
Well, thank you so much, BJ. BJ Baker, of course, athletic director of Curry, defensive coordinator Curry, and head girls basketball coach at Curry. Bass, we're up to our next song and commercial break. Now, this is more pop R&B. Pretty much Aaron Neville is one of the most recognizable soulful voices ever to come out. He teamed up with Linda Ronstadt. Don't Know Much by the two of them was a really big hit. I think it cracked the top 10 overall for the year, but it's one of the typical soulful R&B songs from Aaron Neville that adds that touch of pop with Linda Ronstadt in it. So I think this is a nice little change of pace that everybody will enjoy. This was a big mega hit back then, so we'll have that up, our commercial break, and then we'll be back for the big 8 o'clock hour when everything turns deeply local.
And the defensive coordinator for Curry football, B.J. Baker, was on. But also, too, if anybody has missed it, we also had an announcement regarding tomorrow's Pie Factory show.
Yep, let's go ahead and roll that out for the folks who may have missed it. Tomorrow night will be our first Coach's Corner from the Pie Factory, followed by the Coach Bailey Show. The Coach's Corner starts at 6 o'clock. Coach Bailey Show is at 6:30. Our first guests for the Coach's Corner will be Coach Houston Powell from Meek, and he will be bringing some of his players along. We're going to be talking during the 8 o'clock wrap-up of last week's action, the stellar victory that Meek posted this past week, that also they had our Wallwin Area Player of the Week come off of that. So Meek Tigers, they're going to be facing a big test this week. We'll also be talking about that in the 8 o'clock hour. But remember, Pie Factory tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, our very first Coach's Corner of the year, followed by the Coach Bailey Show.
That is right. And don't forget, we do have a county game of the week tomorrow night here. Oakman is hosting Cordova.
A very interesting matchup.
Will definitely be interesting there. We'll have that. I'm pretty sure simulcast, and that will for sure start out, I believe, on WJB, and we'll end up on here at 7 o'clock right after the Coach Philip Bailey Show. Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show again this week. We will for sure have that next week, Thursday night, as Coach Saban will be speaking to the people there in Tuscaloosa and over there. So we'll have that for sure next Thursday night. Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show next Thursday night, along with start of our Pie Factory shows, the Coach's Corner and the Coach Philip Bailey Show, Brian.
And thankfully, we do not have two sets of games next week.
That's right.
We love to bring the listeners as much games as we possibly can, but I'm thankful, Bass, that we're not having a game on Thursday and Friday night next week.
You've been pretty busy as of late.
Well, I like to stay that way.
There you go.
Idle hands and idle minds. Never mind. Anyway, let's go ahead and roll our commercial break up here, Bass, and then we will be back as we go all local.
We do all local coming right up here on the B&B Show. We'll be back in just a moment after the commercial break.
WJLX Jasper.
Good variety and great information.
Yes. WJLX 101.5. The sound of Walker County.
With America's best warranty and Honda voted most trusted automotive brand can be found at Honda and Hyundai of Jasper. Take the short drive to big savings on two of the top-selling automotive brands conveniently located side by side in Jasper. Find great selection, low pressure, low pricing, and a buying experience that can't be beat. Deal directly with the decision makers at Honda and Hyundai of Jasper, where you have the opportunity to compare two great brands side by side. Visit us at HondaofJasper.com or HyundaiofJasper.com and then make the short ride to big savings.
Back again on the B&B Show here. Can't thank our fine sponsors enough for keeping us over the air here at the station.
Yeah, our MVPs, we appreciate them sponsoring us every single week. We've got to say another big thank you to the professor of rock and roll, Woody Wilson. Every single week he gets us on to promo the B&B Show. Did it this week before he went to talk to Coach Philip Bailey for their pregame talk that's recorded. So big thanks to the professor, Woody Wilson, doing the great job there. And by the way, hello everybody at Harbor Freight listening in.
Freight.
Forgot to tell them a big hello and everybody else out there in listening land. Bass, week one had some interesting twists and turns with it. Let's go over
It did.
everything that happened in week one throughout the Wallwin area. And, of course, we had 2 Thursday night games that were very good. Outcome didn't go the way that we wanted them to go, but still very good. The first game here, which we heard on both WJBE and WJLX, the Winfield Pirates took down the Dora Bulldogs 28-22. Bass, we of course, I called that game with Coach Currington. Winfield really came out and they played a strong game, but Dora made an offensive change, going from 4 wide receivers to 3 wide receivers and having a tight end there. Winfield only scored 1 more touchdown, and Dora scored out the rest, had an opportunity to win it. So I think if Dora goes with that moving forward, we could see a Bulldog team that's got it going on.
Yeah, and I believe, didn't Dora have a chance there that last second to win the ball, win it all?
Down to the last 30 seconds.
That's what I thought. And I hate it for the Bulldogs, but, you know, that was one of the best games there, you know, on Thursday night. And we'll get to Cordova in a minute, but, man, that was such a ball game to be broadcasted.
Absolutely. I still like for what I'm seeing from Dora this year. We'll talk about their test this week, but I think when they get into region play, we'll see a Dora team that is very formidable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Moving on to the other Thursday game that we had, Fayette County, another game that was back and forth. Beats Cordova 28-24. Bass, I really didn't expect the firepower from Cordova, but they came out and made a good statement into this game that a lot of the problems that we thought they might have are taken care of.
Yeah, for sure. And, man, that was just like Dora Winfield. That was another great ball game to be at for sure, because I don't know what they've done at Cordova, but they had some firepower under them on Thursday night.
They do. They certainly do. They have some of the notable mentions that we'll be going over from Cordova and Dora here after we go through all the scorers, but had a good night running the ball, and I think that's important. I think the quarterback play we saw was going to be kind of there coming back, but running the football, that's going to add an element that I think that's going to help out the Blue Devils.
Yeah, for sure, and curious to see what they can do this week.
So moving on to Friday, our game that was here on WJLX, this was a tough one. Center Point 55, Jasper 27. Bass, Jasper defensively, they played hard, but they were just outmanned because Center Point A had an extremely good offensive line. I mean, very, very, very stout, well-disciplined. They were doing great. Quarterback and running back were just fierce. I mean, this is a running quarterback that was able to throw perfectly while scrambling.
Yeah.
And then a big running back. It was just, defensively, they were just outmanned.
If Jasper makes playoffs this year, I hope their first round playoff pairing is Naughty and Center Point, because that was scary.
Center Point could be a 9-win team when it's all over said and done with. So got to watch out for that. Offensively, Jasper, they didn't have what they needed completely from the offensive line. They couldn't run the ball effectively. Spencer Rosenfeld was flushed out of the pocket quite a bit. Had to run, had to hurry passes. I will say this much right now: Eads at center. That we had that as our most glaring question mark for Jasper coming in the game. From what I saw, Spencer was getting most of his snaps from center at about the collarbone and down. He was not having to chase the balls. Big difference from what we saw in the spring game where he was constantly having to chase them down.
For sure, but let's talk about for a minute the flags.
Oh boy.
The penalties in that game was outrageous. It seemed like no matter what team it was on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you would have a good play from, both teams off on offense or whatever, and all of a sudden here comes a flag that really messed up the game.
Yeah, and now a lot of these were center point.
Mm-hmm.
Center point got a lot of taunting flags.
Oh yeah,
a lot. Not only after touchdowns. I saw one time they were, dancing and taunting on the sideline. So even though that's not one of our teams, that certainly had to play into it. And if you're Jasper, you've just kind of got to say, look, guys, let's just do this on the field. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the penalties will be shored up from Jasper going on out. That's situations that you can take care of. But the biggest thing for Spencer is he's got to have his offensive line develop better because he's got to have, A, more time to throw the ball, B, Mackay Pleasure, who we saw, I think is going to be a great running back. He's just a freshman. He didn't have enough running room. And those two things, if you're not getting that from your offensive line, you're not going to win ball games.
Oh, no. For sure. And you did get some clarification, though, on the Spencer Rosenfeld situation. He was ejected this past Friday night against Center Point. But it seems like he's able to play on Friday night.
Yeah, the HSA rule book specifies that only the second ejection results in a suspension. So he's clear for Friday night.
Good to know for you Jasper Viking fans there as you roll into Coleman Friday night.
Winston County, Addison. Winston County, 29, Addison 8. Addison scores initially their 8 points, and then Winston County goes crazy.
Man, they got something going up there in the waters at Winston County.
Well, we know so many of the Morgans returned. Right? Both Morgans returned, but there's development all over the field because with that score in week 1, you know that they've got things moving.
Oh, yeah.
So now, of course, Winston County is in a region by themselves. We have no other area teams in their region.
Yep.
But they can certainly make a whole lot of noise this year. The Yellow Jackets.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I definitely see them making a lot of noise this year. And since they're the only team in their region, it's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is. Oakman goes over to Sulligent. Gets doubled up 36-18. We know this team outside of the offensive line is very young. Mm-hmm. But it's going to take some growth for Oakman. It's like when we had Brandi Hall on here, Coach Hall's wife. Mm-hmm. I stated to her quite honestly, the Oakman team we're seeing now and the one that we're going to see in week 8 or 9, barring a whole lot of injuries, is going to be radically different. This team is going to grow up, and it's going to grow up well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, honestly. And, that's one thing is that this Oakman team, it is pretty young, to be honest. So there's going to be a lot of growth over the next couple of years for sure on this Oakman Wildcat team.
It certainly will. Coach Baker's team that we just had on, Curry, goes up to Cold Springs. They do lose 36-14, but as Coach Baker indicated, this team is working hard compared to what you saw last year, which was a team more of individuals. This is a team of team members.
Yep.
And that's going to pay off, I think, this week. They've got a game underneath their belt, regardless of the outcome.
Yep.
Curry has experience, and I think that's going to pay off. Hopefully it will this week, but if not, we know that there's teams down the line that Curry's...
Yeah. That's another thing, though, is we thought last week, that'd be a pretty winnable ball game for Curry, but I guess Cold Springs is a little better than what we thought they were. Mm-hmm. But to say the least, going into and it is a home game for Curry. They are playing against Barry, so I believe this could potentially be a big turnaround for Curry win-wise because they've been on the flip side of things for a long time now.
We'll discuss that Barry game more in detail after the bottom of the hour, but I think we'll see some stuff this week. Our last game, and this was huge. Meek beats the perennial powerhouse in Maplesville 36-12. Bass. There are two teams that I think got slighted by the Alabama Sports Writers Association in the preseason. Winston County was one of them, though might be a little justified. But Meek having no love to what they return and what they develop, I hoped with everything in me that this score puts all the sports writers in the association on notice.
Oh, yeah. We've been saying this for how many months now? This Meek team is scary.
Mm-hmm.
And it just keeps proving our point after they defeated that powerhouse of Maplesville. This Meek team is scary, and I think it's a good thing. So I'm curious to see. We're only in second week of regular season, but I'm really curious to see how deep of a run this Meek team can make this year in the playoffs.
You look at starting back in the spring. In the spring game, they beat Pickens County 30-0.
Mm-hmm.
A perennial top contender.
Yep.
That usually goes very deep in the playoffs and is statewide known for great football. The same can be said in Maplesville, and they beat them 36-12. If they're not getting the love, flush the ASWA.
Oh, yeah.
I used to be one of them. Jonathan Bentley's still one of them. He needs to get on the phone and go, guys, if you're not ranking these guys at least in the top 8, flush them.
Yep.
So
that's right.
That is our recap of week 1. In this next coming up segment after the music break, we'll go over some of the statistical leaders and our players of the week that we handed out plaques for. But right now, the iconic and immortal Madonna with her big hit from 1990. This is Vogue.
What are you...
Back here on the B&B Show, Vogue by Madonna, the classic good old Madonna. Gotta love some Madonna, bro.
Mm-hmm. That was her big super hit back in 1990. And now, Bass, we're going to go over our player performances. And let's start off with our 2 Player of the Week performances. First of all, the Southeast Hospice WJLX Player of the Week for Jasper. That was Cole Sargent. Bass, I'm sure you remember us calling Cole's name so many times on the broadcast.
Yeah, for sure.
11 tackles. He had a tackle for a loss, and he also blocked a kick.
Wow.
We did give Cole his plaque today. The video with the interview with Cole and him receiving the plaque is up on our Facebook page, so you can go check that out. But big night for him. The Walwyn Southeast Hospice WJLX Player of the Week, Cam Deaver. Cam, and let's remember, this is against Maplesville. 34 carries for 295 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Wow.
Against Maplesville.
Wow.
Can you say that offensive line was getting work done? They were doing the job?
And we talked about that. This is a meek offensive and defensive line that don't play all around the ball.
The defensive line doesn't play offense.
Defensive line does not
at a
play
1A
offense.
level.
Yeah, at a 1A level.
That's crazy.
That is.
Went out and saw the Tigers today, interviewed Cam, and of course, the first thing that he talks about, as any great running back will, is offensive line. Because they did the job. Great performance by Cam Deaver. His interview also up on the WJLX Facebook page. So let's go through our other notable performances from the week. Addison, we did not have any statistics for Brian Berry, but he did score a touchdown.
Okay.
Cordova, your alma mater. David Odom rushed for 145 yards with 3 touchdowns. Okay. Remember what we were talking about, the development of a run game? Boy, yep. There's your horse right there.
Yep, there it is.
Curry. This is big. Josh Day, 12 of 24 passing for 218 yards. Colin Page with 8 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown. Those are some great numbers.
Yeah, it is.
So, great job by both of those gentlemen. Dora got a chance to see Kayshawn Pryor last Thursday night. 91 yards passing. He had 22 carries for 134 yards with 3 rushing touchdowns. So a total of 225 all-purpose yards with those 3 touchdowns. Great night for him. As I said, Bass, Dora was a totally different team when they went with 3 wide receivers and kept the tight end in there. I think if they would have came out that early in the game, of course it was second half adjustments, but they would have come out of that game. Dora could have the first win on the season already.
They really could.
So, great job by Kayshawn Pryor. Meek, now we had another one besides Cam Deaver that had great performance. Blake Miller, 23 carries for 108 yards with a touchdown. So they've got a great backup runner as well for Meek.
Wow.
Good job by Blake Miller.
Man.
Oakman, Trace Cagle. We know Cagles? This is Bubba Cagle's.
Yeah, baby, Bubba Cagle's son.
The mayor of Parrish. Completed 6 of 12 passes for 75 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for 48 yards on 11 carries. 123 all-purpose yards. For a brand new quarterback, I think that's good.
Yeah.
You know, and Sulligent, quality opponent. They might be a classification lower, but still a quality opponent that did very well in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, honestly.
Winston County, Declan Morgan, 22 carries for 138 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns. Winston County is one of those teams that's just going to be a beast.
Yep.
And we've got guys in all positions that can excel.
Mm-hmm.
They are another team with a very good offensive line. And we said, you got an offensive line, you got a foundation. You can be successful in offense.
Yep.
So that is our players of the week. We want to congratulate all of them for their performances this week. And, of course, our 2 players of the week for Jasper, the Southeast Hospice WJLX Player of the Week, Cole Sargent, and for Meek, the Southeast Hospice WJLX Player of the Week for the Walwyn area, that's Cam Deaver.
Mm-hmm.
Great performances by both of those gentlemen. We congratulate them.
For sure.
We will be back with the preview of this coming up week's matchups, our own little input on that after the music and song break. But Billy Idol, another name known predominantly back in the 80s, but this one kind of carried over from the 80s with Cradle of Love, which was another big hit in 1990. We're going to hit you up with that, and then we will be back at the commercial break.
historic downtown Jasper. Friday night, you'll see Anderson East.
It's on my mind. Feel something when I kiss you goodnight.
Mark Broussard.
So take me home.
Also appearing, Adam Hood and Charlie Argo. Saturday gets started with a supper club. The Wildflowers, Ian Moore, Paul Thorne, Samantha Fish, and the headliner, the Drive-By Truckers. The 2022 Foothills Festival, presented by the City of Jasper and Coca-Cola. Admission is free. For more information, foothillsjasper.com.
That's right. The Foothills Festival is just right around the corner, Brian. 2 weeks from this Friday night.
Yep, that's going to be humongous, as it was last year, the previous years. We'll be camped out on the square, watching all the action.
Mm-hmm. You know, I've only been to one Foothills Festival.
So have I, last year.
I worked the booth back in 2018.
I've walked through a few of them, and it's mainly been in the afternoons, like on Saturday, to check out some of the, what some of the vendors have had and stuff like that. But last year was the first time that I've ever been to it and experienced the full nightlife of it. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And Foothills Festival is always big here in Jasper, and it's another big one this year, as you got the Drive-By Truckers headlining, I believe, on Saturday night. So make sure, and it is free, so make sure to go down there and support these artists that the City of Jasper get on for this this awesome festival in downtown Jasper.
Basso, it's time to take a look at what we have this week. Football action in the Wallwind. Of course, we start off with tomorrow night's game. Cordova at Oakman. Wallwind area game of the week. Oakman, I think, has a lot of talent. But they've got a lot of guys out there that are playing football for the first time or may have just had only middle school. It's going to take them a while to gel. I think consensus-wise, I think Cordova is better than what we thought they would be this season. I think they have an impressive running game that will probably take control of this game. So I'm going to go with Cordova in this game. Oakman can potentially keep it close, depending on how much improvement made in between week 1 and week 2. But I think at this point right now, from what I saw out of Cordova against Fayette County, I think they're ahead of the curve slightly.
I think you're right, too. I do see Cordova taking this one over Oakman. This could potentially be a close game. It just depends on how Oakman plays this game compared to what they did against Solgent last week. But I do see the Blue Devils taking, and this is, somebody's going to get their first win of this season between the two.
Yeah, both teams coming in 0-1.
But I do see the Blue Devils taking this one over Oakman.
Now, on to Friday night. Starting off here on WJLX, the old classic rivalry. Jasper at Coleman. Jasper, of course, as we mentioned earlier, dropped that 55-27 loss to Centerpoint in week 1. Coleman had to eke out a victory over Class 2A Morris Hill at the very end of the game in order to get their first victory of the season. This is interesting, Bass, because I think, to me, if Jasper can play the lanes like they did last year against Coleman defensively, and their offensive line can give Spencer Rosenfeld enough time to direct the traffic, find his wide receivers, and give Makai Pledger running room, Jasper's going to win this game because Coleman, Mars Hill is a great 2A team. Coleman's a 6A. Even a great 2A team versus a 6A team like we saw against Jasper last year. That should have been like a 35-14 victory like Jasper prevailed over Mars Hill last year.
You're right.
And I think Jasper has a really good chance of winning this game. I'm going to be 50-50 on it right now because the game is in Coleman. Mm-hmm. If it was Jasper, I would actually say right now I'd be going Vikings. But we know how home field advantage and some home cooking can decide games. So I'm 50-50 on it right now.
You're right. And if Jasper can, like you said, stay in the lanes and keep things rolling there, I think they can take this one in what I think will be a very, very close game. I think this game will be a 1-point win ball game for Jasper.
Decatur Heritage faces off against the Carbon Hill Bulldogs. They do host Carbon Hill. Decatur Heritage is a 1A program, but they're a very good 1A program. They have established themselves since opening in 2010 as a great one. Now, they do have a brand new coach, but this is a team that Bass since 2019, they've gone 12-1, 9-3, and 10-3 last year. Decatur Heritage opened up with a win over a playoff 2A team section, 24-22. This is a little bit interesting because Carbon Hill is a bigger team. It's a 3A. But Decatur Heritage plays well. They're a good team.
And they have already a game under their belt this season.
They do have a game under their belt. Carbon Hill has none. Considering this game is on the road, I'm going to favor Decatur Heritage. I think it's going to be a slugfest, as I think Carbon Hill is going to attempt to use numbers to try to nullify the play, but I think they're going to come up a little short in it.
I could see that, to be honest. The big factor here is Decatur Heritage has a game under the belt that Carbon Hill does not. Granted, Carbon Hill is a bigger school than Decatur Heritage there in the classification. But I do think it'll be a slugfest, like you said, but I see Decatur Heritage really taking this one by probably a good 3 points or a touchdown there.
We had Coach Baker on here last hour, and he brought us some good insight in the fact that Barry has a lot of seniors from last year's team gone. Curry has a game underneath their belt. Barry doesn't. This game is at Curry. I'm going to say the combination of the fact that Curry has a game underneath their belt, they have more of the leadership, and I think you make great improvements from week 1 to week 2. I think Curry breaks the streak Friday night.
I think they do as well. And, man, wouldn't that be something in Curry for them to finally get a win at home? One of their 4 home games is what Coach Baker said. They only have 4 home games this year.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be really good there at Curry if they break through this winless streak and end up picking up a win over Barry there at home. In that 4A Region 5, that's not a region game either.
No, Barry's a 1A.
Yeah, they're a 1A. That's right. I don't know why I was thinking for some reason in my mind they're region, but no. I do see Curry taking this one at home.
And I think another thing at Bass is Cold Springs was a 2A. That's a numbers game. This is an even bigger numbers game for Curry. And I think, especially with the seniors that Barry has lost, I think that takes a big note on it. So I think, we're both going to go Curry in this. So, Dora. will travel over to Aniana. State championship contender Aniana from last year. Aniana opened the season last week with a 14 win over Cleveland. Cleveland is a 2A. But still, they took care of business like you expect a team like that should. I think they'll be up to standards. This is a game that I was very iffy on when we were doing our preseason predictions. I'm going to have to go with Aniana on this. They're at home. I think Dora's going to put up a good fight with it, and might possibly only be a 7 to 10 point loss. But I have to think that it's going to be Aniana in this case. I hope I'm wrong. Hopefully, Dora has made enough of the adjustments to really come out and play a good game, and maybe even take the W. But I'm strongly leaning that Aniana will win this 10 points to a touchdown.
If Dora can bring the same the firepower that they had going against Winfield last Thursday night, I think they could keep this on a very close game, if not win it. But it's at Aniana. Aniana has a win under the belt. Dora does not. But I do believe if Dora can play the same, or even a little better than what they did last Thursday, they have a chance at winning this game, if not making it a touchdown or field goal game. But I got to give home field advantage to Aniana.
Agreed. Bass, we're going to get our last music break out, and we're going to be poisoned again. We had our second song, Something to Believe In by Poison. This is their other big hit from 1990, Unskinny Bop. And we're going to hit you with that next, and we'll review our last 5 games coming right up. enduring old guard dogs of Class 1A football since 2009 have only missed the playoffs 1 year, back in 2017. Well-established program. Went to the second round last year. They actually played a game last week, almost the equivalent of a jamboree. They played and beat University Charter, which is in its first year ever, 18-8. We know Summoning Christian is about to play its first game with so many of the seniors from last year gone. This game is at Hubbardsville, and Hubbardsville has a game under its belt playing somebody that's a full game, somebody that's different. It's going to be a transition for Summoning Christian, as a 1A team for a couple of weeks to get themselves underneath it. So I've got to go with Hubbardsville to take the win on this one. What do you think?
I think you're right as well there. Hubbardsville does have a full game under their belt compared to Summoning Christian, who only played a jamboree game. So I see Hubbardsville taking this one at home.
This one will be relatively short and sweet. Vina is at Addison. Addison's mad.
Yeah.
Lost to rival Winston County last week. Vina, one of the worst teams in the state, regardless of classification. They're 1A. Even though Addison's a 1A also, Vina's just Vina. Addison wins this by a blowout.
Yeah, I see that as well.
So that one was short and sweet. The Lynn Bears, this is their first game.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be playing Marion County this week. I need to check. I don't see... let me check Marion County here real quick. Marion County also opened the year with an open week. Marion County is another one of those established old teams that seemingly make the playoffs every single year. Last year they went 7-4. If this game was later on in the year, Bass, I honestly think that I would give Lynn a really good chance. But this is at Marion County.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those games that I can almost see being so close that it comes down to home cooking. Just on that edge alone, I will give it to Marion County. But if this game was played in Week 8 or Week 9, even with the possible homecoming, I would probably go with Lynn. I think they just need a couple of weeks before they play somebody of this caliber.
I think you're right on that. And keep in mind, this is, they're starting region play early because this is a 9-team region.
Yeah, this is the humongous region.
Mm-hmm. And so starting off region play early is very interesting, but I don't see Lynn taking advantage of it. I see Marion County at home taking this one in what could be a dogfight to the end.
Absolutely. This is probably not going to take long either. Meek goes to Hackleburg to play Hackleburg. Hackleburg opened the season with a 36-8 loss to Phil Campbell. Phil Campbell is a good 3A team, but Meek would probably have a lot better game if they were playing Phil Campbell in this. They might actually, have a decent tussle. Meek, I think, is just going to have their way with Hackleburg and get their first region win in a game that we thought might be one of their only two challenges in the region. I think Meek takes this and takes it big.
Yeah, you're right. And, coming off a loss to Phil Campbell for Hackleburg, which, like you said, Phil Campbell is a pretty dominant 3A team there. Meek's just going to have their way with Hackleburg there.
Yeah, it's going to be an easy one. Finally, to end all of our Week 1 games, Winston County Yellow Jackets, sporting their 1-0 record, will head up to East Lawrence. East Lawrence is a 5A team, so that's going to be a numbers challenge. But East Lawrence is also 0-1 after they got beat 49-14. By Athens.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a numbers game And I do see this game being very close. But even with home cooking, I'm still going to say Winston County is loaded this year. They are a lot more worthy of that 5-5 record that they showed last year. This year's going to be different. And I'm going to take Winston County, but I think it's going to be close.
You think it's going to be close?
Mm-hmm.
Winston County comes in with a 29-8 victory over Addison.
Mm-hmm.
They go on the road to East Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Winston County's got a lot of powerhouse, firepower, whatever you want to call it, under them. They've got a lot. Winston County will take this on the road.
And this is an Athens team that they lost to in East Lawrence. They lost to an Athens team that is a 6A. They were a 4-6 6A last year. So East Lawrence may not exactly. They're obviously going to have the numbers being a 5A, but they, even with the numbers, it just may not be enough firepower to contain all the weapons that Winston County does. But I do think even the numbers are going to keep this game close.
Could definitely see it that way.
Let's mention also, Bass, before we close everything up, that tomorrow night, first Coach's Corner of the Year from the Pie Factory.
Yep.
Brett will have on Coach Houston Powell of the Meek Tigers and his players. And that's going to be followed up by the Coach Bailey Show.
Yep.
And then WJLX will join WJBE in the coverage of the Cordova Blue Devils and the Oakman Wildcats.
Going to be interesting ball game tomorrow night. Another good one.
Yeah.
Another good Thursday night game for us.
So join after the Coach's Corner and the Coach Bailey Show on WJLX. Stay tuned in and join Coach Currington and I as we broadcast that game. We want to thank our two extremely great guests tonight. Coach Brandi Hall, head coach of the Jasper Vikings softball team, and also Coach B.J. Baker, athletic director, girls head basketball coach, and defensive coordinator of the Curry Yellow Jackets. We appreciate them so much. Had a fun time tonight, but Bass, it's time to grab the signs, flip it from open to close because it's closing time.
It is closing time.
One thing that we forgot,
roll.
Bass.
We got to do that
Hold
first.
the phone. We have to figure out where we're going next week. Here we go. Ground rules. The only one that we have. We can't go back to 1990, even though that was our first time going to 1990. But here we go. We cannot go back to 1990. Where were you before? 1994. So
94. Okay.
we are going back to 1994, and Coach Currington will be joining us next week. We'll also have some more guests. Bass, it's closing time.
It is closing time. Thank you to everybody who tuned in via live stream on Facebook, Twitter, anywhere else on the air, live streaming on our app. But it is closing time right here on the B&B Show. It was great to have all of our great guests on here. But until next week, it's closing time. See you tomorrow night on WJLX.